If you are at the bleeding edge of classic gaming, then you've heard of MiSTer, the open source FPGA-based emulation platform based on the fundamental goal of hardware accuracy. MiSTer already has tons of cores spanning 8 to 32-bit consoles, home computers, arcade games, and more. In this series, I'll feature one FPGA core every day for the next 21 days to ring in the new year. And the next core in our New Year's countdown is a really impressive one. It's the Game Boy and Game Boy Color core. This was kind of a team effort. It's based on the original MiST core by Tim Harbaum and Gyurko. And it's been ported over by the team from MiSTer, and that team includes Bruno Gouveia, or BRNX, Risha, Sorglig, and a bunch of other people. And with the MiSTer port, they've added Game Boy Color support, and tons of new features like custom palette loading, Sultan G42 filter support, which in my opinion is an absolute must because they're basically operating like shaders in a mathematical sense, and they're really impressive, the LCD type effects you can do with these, and for the other cores, the scanline effects, and just the nice scaling that you can do even if you're not into that stuff. But with Game Boy in particular, these LCD effects are extremely impressive. They also have custom BIOS loading so that you can load a Game Boy or a Game Boy Color BIOS, or one of the open source BIOS, and a whole bunch more. And what's cool about this is the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color are, of course, near and dear to our hearts. We've played them since we were children. Handheld, taking them on trips. We've put up with the crappy screen on them. But playing them as a console on a TV is just something altogether different. And I've equated their look on a modern TV to a stained glass mosaic because it's just, once you find the LCD effect and the palette that you like, it's really something else. And of course the Game Boy library is massive. The Game Boy Color library is very big too. And it offers quite a bit of 2D platforming, puzzle games, some shoot 'em ups, tons of RPGs, of course, and all of the classics are there. You can play the Zelda games, which, if you played them handheld, playing them on a TV is a completely different experience, so it might be a good excuse for you to play back through them one more time. And to experience them for the first time, you can use whatever controller you want as well, so you're not stuck with just the old Game Boy controls. You can use a Super Nintendo controller, which works really well, an arcade stick, or anything that your little heart desires. You can connect it to MiSTer, and it's just as easy as pie to get going with it. I've been using the Xbox One controller a lot lately, and I can do surgery with it in Dr. Mario. And Dr. Mario looks really good on the Game Boy. Look at these colors. You can play the original Game Boy game, you can add in your color palette that you like. You can have a lot of fun with it. The Castlevania games are extremely impressive, and getting to play them on a TV is a completely different experience, as I said, than playing them handheld. And just look at how cool they look. And you can get really crazy with them. I'm just using some really basic filters here to kind of give you an overview, but you can really get this looking sharp. And these filters, they aren't simple overlay filters like you might be used to. These are actually mathematically perfect if you're using integer scaling, so that each pixel ends up as a square. It doesn't get lines through it. It doesn't get stretched out in weird ways. And what that equates to on your TV is just crystal clear sharpness and a real true LCD type effect on a modern TV. It's really glorious. I can't overstate this enough. And just look at this gameplay footage. These are just a few games I captured. I mean, I'd love to show you everything, but in the time that I have here, I'm just going to cover a few big ones. And the Game Boy was a big deal when it came out. A lot of people had it, even though it was cheap and the games were inexpensive. These are little works of art, and they will blow you away. The AAA detail that's gone into them, the sprite work is incredible, the audio is superb, and when you hear it through headphones, it's a totally new experience. Unless you were playing your Game Boy with headphones back in the day, then you know what's up. And don't forget that the all-time greatest Game Boy game, Super Mario Land, has been colorized in Super Mario Land DX so that it plays like a Game Boy Color game, and just look at this. But I have this set as my boot ROM, and it's the first game that boots up with my system, and it just kind of warms my heart every single time. So there you have it, the Game Boy and Game Boy Color Core on MiSTer FPGA Game Boy. Can you believe it? And you've got it for free if you've got a MiSTer. So what's the next core going to be? Find out tomorrow when I continue my series. This video represents a snapshot of the core as it exists today, but by the time you're watching this in the future, it may have been improved or expanded with new features. Hit the subscribe button to be kept up to date with all the latest MiSTer happenings, and ring the bell to be notified when I go live for a stream. If you like the channel, consider supporting it. Patreon support at any level gets you an instant invite to the SmokeMonster Elite Discord and early access to my videos. Thank you so much for your support, I really appreciate it.